Welcome to Roxtalks, the podcast that helps network marketers grow their business on Facebook and Instagram. My name is Roxanne Wilson. And I was sitting here thinking about what I really wanted to talk to you guys about this week. I know last week I was a little ornery, perhaps. That's probably true. And as I was trying to decide, and I have to give Megan Summerall, my biz bestie, credit. I was talking to her. She's on vacation at the lake, and she's like, "You know what? I'm by water. I'll have an idea for you." Because I'm like, "Gosh, there's so many things," but it was not. I usually know exactly what I want to talk to you about, and I wasn't sure. And she brought up the word community, and that spurred. And she said, you've got Social Stories and Social Templates Club just launched. How about talking about community and the value of that? And that spurred some great ideas in this head of mine. That are about that, and essentially more about how do you ensure your success when we all want that guarantee when you're doing something new, whether it is joining something like Social Templates Club or Social Stories, or whether it's joining a new network marketing company or embarking on some new type of something. How do you guarantee your success? And I personally have been going through this over the last 90-ish days. And I see a lot of you going through it as well too. So I thought it would be a great time to kind of share that. What I'm excited about is what you're going to learn today. Three things that you can do to ensure your success are things that you can apply right now. Even if you're already in that thing, you're like, but I already started. You can apply these things right now to help you. And I know that it can help you tenfold in whatever way. So I'm really excited about this. And we will be right back. We'll dive in a second. All right, so you need to know a couple things. First and foremost, you need to know that if you listen to the podcast, you know that we just launched the new 5-day Instagram Reels challenge this month, the month of July. And I have to tell you, it was a massive success. Watching and seeing network marketers just like you and me really grow through that process and learn how to dive into Reels and find their way was not only exhilarating for me, but so exciting for them. So many of them were like, I didn't think I could do it, or I didn't think I could do more than just this thing. And they were able to produce 5 original and very different reels throughout the week. Anyhow, all that to say, by day 2, I was being asked, when are you going to do this again? I want it in. And so I was like, when shall we do this again? I'm all in. Yeah, I'm good with it. But timing is everything. So I wanted to let you know that we have the new date for the Instagram Reels Challenge Round 2. If you would like to get to be part of it, this is your chance. It's going to kick off on August 2nd, and we'll do it for 5 days then. This is a great opportunity for you guys to learn all the ins and outs about Reels, to understand how to get views from your target market, from your audience, from the people who are most likely to buy your product and join you in business. Sounds great, doesn't it? And we know that Instagram favors Reels. So this is a way you can really dive in and work it for you and your business. So if you'd like to join us for the Instagram Reels 5-day challenge, simply go to, get a load of this new website, ready? IG Reels Challenge. For Reels, that's it, igreelschallenge.com, and you can get signed up. I'd love to see you there. You need to know that the Roxtalks podcast has moved. Well, we kind of moved. For those of you who subscribe to the RSS feed, and if you don't even worry about it. You can ignore this. You probably listen to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or you do your thing on Google Play. But if you subscribe to the RSS feed, I want you to know that we have moved. So please go to Roxtalks podcast, click on the link there to get the new feed. It won't change anything except just changing your feed and subscribing to the new feed. When you do that, you'll ensure that you're going to get future podcasts. We will make the full switch over August. And so if you're using the old RSS feed, you won't get any more episodes after August 1st. So make sure to make that switch. Or if you're like, where is she? I lost her. We're still here. Find us at roxtalkspodcast.com and check out the new feed. When I use the word guarantee, no one can really guarantee anything, can we? All we can guarantee is that we can't guarantee everything or really anything. But we can, and I would say that if you look at successful people in life, people that you know, or just people through history, there are certain markers and certain things they did that increase the likelihood of their success. Shall we say it that way? Which means that you and I can do the exact same thing. Have you ever joined something, maybe a new membership. Maybe you're in Social Templates Club. You just joined last week, or maybe you're in Social Stories membership. Or maybe you're in a network marketing company. I'm going to bet that you're in at least one of the things I just listed off. And you want to be really successful and you want to do all the things, and there's just all the things. But if you had just a few like, hey, do XYZ that would help your success, you'd be all in. I recently joined a coaching program with James Wedmore that I had been like literally for 2 years now, almost to the day. I'd said I want to be in this. And I knew this is what I wanted to do. One day when I'm big enough, when I'm grown up, I'll join. And I joined it. And I joined it, and I've been so excited about it. But I've been so massively intimidated because I'm surrounded around all of these business people, these online business people doing all sorts of different businesses who are just like rocking their business in crazy ways. And I know that I need that. I know that it's good to be around people who are just like what you might feel like outpacing. You're not ahead, you're not behind, but who are just rocking it. That's inspiration. That's a place to be. But what I found is I'm like a shrinking violet in some ways. I go to the coaching calls and we have them every single week. And I'm almost like, I don't want to say anything. In fact, I was called out on one of them, literally called out. And I was like, me, the Roxanne, didn't have words to say. So I've been pushing myself lately because I'm there for a reason. First of all, I made it. I was in, I applied, I got in. They didn't accept everyone. But more importantly, I know that I was meant to be there. It's something that I saw that was going to happen 2 years ago. So why am I now being the shrinking girl against the wall? Because it's scary. Because it's scary. I mean, I know why, but it's an interesting phenomenon to get to where I am. And maybe you can see the same way when you join your network marketing company. Maybe you're like the queen of your domain in certain ways. You had things going, and then all of a sudden you're like, I had a post on social media. I don't want to post anything about this. How do we ensure that the things we know are good for us will be successful? I'll give you another example. Amanda Nybert from the Lean program. She was a guest on the podcast a couple years ago. I remember when I joined her program, a lot of my friends had joined it and they were doing the intermittent fasting thing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And at first I was like, whoa, this is another language. And these people are really intense. And I don't know about this. And then I had to sit myself down and go, Roxanne, if you're going to be successful about this, you are going to have to do a few things. In fact, my good friend Kate, who was already doing it, she took me to lunch and was like, okay, here's the ins and outs. And it was super, super helpful. So I feel like I'm going to be your Kate today, and I'm going to sit you down and give you just a few things that will help you with any situation be successful. Does that all make sense? I hope it did. Because it can be scary. You're excited. You're doing this new thing. You want all the success that you have decided that you want to get. And then you just can't get over yourself. Like you've got to actually get over yourself and get into motion. So here are 3 things that will help you with that, with anything. And let me just say one other thing. What I found is that people who are not, how do I say this? People who do not find success in social stories membership, for example, are people who did not do these things. I mean, I can telegraph it. I know. Wait, and you'll see. Number 1, okay, if we want to do well at something, if you want to do well at the membership you've joined, or the network marketing company you've joined, or the coaching thing you've joined, right? You have to, number 1, show up. I know this seems so, you're really Roxanne. No, really, show up. Ask yourself, when you look back on something, go, you know what, but I wasn't successful at it. I joined this thing and did you show up? Number 1, you've got to show up. Now, what does that mean? That means when there are things going on, and any club, any program has activities happening, right? They have moments and opportunities for you to show up, and you got to choose whether you're going to do it or not. I do feel like the fact that I'm showing up to these coaching calls is something, right? That's a start. You have to show up. Now, you might say, Roxanne, but what if it's going on at a time I can't be there? Then show up to the recording. How many of you say, oh, is it being recorded? Okay. And you make a conscious decision not to be at that thing, even though you probably could be there, even for some of it. If we want to be successful, if we want to have the growth, if we want to see the results, we have to show up. And if we're not going to show up live, we're in 2021, we have to actually watch the recording. How many of you say, I'll catch the replay, and you don't ever catch the replay? Or catching the replay is taking like hours or days to do. Set the time and be there for the replay. And I know you're thinking, really, Roxanne, is that simple? It really is. It's amazing when we show up to things, how it A, makes us feel part of the community because we are. B, we learn things that we wouldn't have been able to catch otherwise, that you can't just catch by reading something or watching. Showing up to those live opportunities is huge. How many of you have had the pre-COVID, how many of you were encouraged to go to those corporate events, right? Whether it be like corporate's going to be in town or it's a group of people hosting something. And they'd even tell you show up even if you don't have a guest. Now, I used to do that. And I'll tell you, even though it was like frustrating to not have a guest, I always learned something by showing up and being there, or always met someone that I got a connection with, right? That networking aspect is so important. If you want to be successful at whatever you've decided to do, you've got to show up. And if you can't be there live, by Jove, show up for the replay. Show up. That counts too. Number 2, you've got to participate. It's not just about showing up. Now you got to speak. Now you've got to be part of it. You've got to be present. You have to participate. I'm laughing because, like I told you, I was for a good month, went to coaching calls, I said nothing. And then one of the coaches said, Roxanne, what about you? And I was like, what about me? She can see me, darn you, Zoom. We have to participate. And maybe that doesn't mean that you speak up, but maybe it means that you're in the comments participating, right? Participating. Listen, whenever you're in a community, if you're giving more than you are tangibly getting, you're going to learn so much more from that community. Think about that. I'm saying again, if you give more, if you're giving more than you're getting, you're doing something right. We are not meant to be on earth and just suck from the teat of the juices that are flowing from us. We have to be giving as well too. And so when I think about that, people ask me, why is the social stories community so good? I mean, it's just so good. What makes that so good? What makes people have so many transformations? You heard them on the podcast last month. What makes those transformations happen? It's the community. Listen, I know that when the content, yes, is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But what makes those major transformations is the community, is people showing up and people participating. It's gotten to a point that when someone has a high, they rush to the community to share that high. And when someone has a low, they lean on us to share that low. They know it's a safe space. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Roxanne, how does that apply to other things? Listen, if you're an upline, just a little pro tip, make an environment that your team longs to be a part of, where they not only feel like they belong, they show up for it and they participate. Sometimes I hear people, believe it or not, complain quite a bit about their network marketing company. I know that surprises you, but as a coach, I hear it all. And it's funny because in a silo, you'd think, oh, there's no way that person is going to be with that company much longer. And then they're with that company for another 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. Why? Because it's not just about the product they're selling. It's not just about the customers they're serving. It's about the community of people. Uplines, hear me when I tell you, if you want to keep your downline, create a community that is so irresistible that even during the tough times, they want to stay right where they are. You don't even have to handcuff them, threaten them, change the policies and procedures. All of those things are not even necessary if you just create a community and an environment that makes them feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, that makes them feel like they have a family and a community of people on their team. They will come back for that every single time. It's been interesting in social stories because we have people who come in and out because of life, and life changes. And of course, with the last year in COVID, those changes, that's been a big deal. And what's been really interesting is people will still, when they have to take a break because life has pulled them, still come back to the community aspect of social stories. And that's why I know they're not going anywhere, because we've created a community and environment where they want to be a part of it and stick around over and over again. How can you create that community? That's the lifeblood. That's the good stuff. And that's where transformation happens, because when you feel like you're in a place where people are not judging you and people are cheering you on, where people don't see you as ahead of or behind, but they just see you as one of you, you know what happens? Then you're in a community where you can thrive and you can try different things. You can go out there and do those lives and do those reels, for example, and rock them because you're in a safe space. What I've been learning in this coaching program is exactly that. By showing up, by participating, and I've started participating in other small groups in that, I feel so much more comfortable. Now, I'm not there completely yet. Don't get me wrong. But what I do know is I'm in a safe space where I can try things in my business, get coaching that's going to help me along with that, and be in a community where people are not judging me. They're there to learn from whatever I'm learning from and to cheer me on. That is where the good stuff happens. Which leads me to the last thing. If you want to be successful, and if you at whatever your endeavor is, if you want to be successful and rock that new thing, and I know, like, when I think about the people who joined Social Templates Club just last week, they're excited as can be, but I'm sure there's a little bit of terror there too. They're a little bit scared, like, oh my gosh, I hope this worked. Oh my gosh, I hope this works. I hope it's the thing. And that whole, like, that fear can take you over, right? And sometimes when you have too much fear, well, that's a whole nother Oprah. But they have this desire to reach these goals, and they are looking for Social Templates Club to help them with it. And there's no doubt in my mind that it will, if they show up, if they participate. Like, those templates can't work themselves, right? They actually have to work those templates. And of course, I give them the skills to do that. But the other thing is, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. This is huge. You have to be willing to get uncomfortable. Now, so not like, aren't I too old to be uncomfortable? No, you're not, because the uncomfortable spot, the unknown spots, that is where the good stuff happens. That's where things occur. So I told you I'm in this coaching program, and I decided to just volunteer myself to get coached by James Wedmore himself on a group coaching call. And first thing I said was, well, actually, he's like, Roxanne, do you want to? I'm like, yes, yeah, because I put my name in it. I didn't know that my name, I'd be the fastest person to type in the chat and Zoom. So I'm like, sure. And I start talking, and I literally, I'm not kidding you. I'm like, okay, I'm totally going to be pitting now. He's like, what? I'm like, I'm going to pit. I started, like, sweating. Listen, I've always said, I don't glow, I sweat. I started sweating because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, I'm at a loss for words right now. But I was all in, and I did it. And yes, I was sweating, but I survived, and I learned a lot of good things that helped me. But here's the other interesting thing about that. Megan Summerall, Ms. Bestie, she was like, oh my gosh, you have to listen to James's last podcast. And I'm like, okay, I'll listen to it. She's 3 hours ahead of me in life. So probably more than that on paper. And so I'm listening, and she's like, she'll recommend podcasts and things to me and say, like, it'll totally resonate. You're going to hear the message you need to hear. And I'm like, okay. So I go to listen to it thinking I'm going to hear this message, right? Au contraire, mon frère. She was being literal. He literally, during his podcast, said that he was on a coaching call, and he started describing the entire thing that he coached me on. And he was like, she's amazing. She's outstanding. She's brilliant. I was like, oh! Okay. I was geeking out. Ridiculous. I know. But I was like, oh my gosh. And it reminded me that we don't see ourselves as well as we should see ourselves. Like, he had no reason to say those nice things about me. The jig is up. And it meant a lot to hear that, like, not like, it's almost like I was eavesdropping on a conversation, but I was like, what? We don't realize how great we are, but we're never going to realize that if we don't get uncomfortable. If you don't give yourself an opportunity to get uncomfortable and feel odd about what you're doing and try new things, how are you ever going to grow? And how are you ever going to realize what you're capable of? And how are you ever going to get to the next level? So, in conclusion, this is a short one, y'all, but I think there's some good nuggets in there, okay? If you're sitting there in your network marketing company and you're like, I am on the struggle bus, I'm on the struggle bus, I'm having issues, this is not working, I would have to ask you, Like my first question to you would be, are you showing up? Are you showing up live in the replay? My second question to you would be, are you participating? Are you actually getting in there and giving more than you get? And then last, I'd say, are you getting uncomfortable? Now, if you're doing all those things, it's not working for you, then yeah, it may be time to move on. But you've got to know that you have to know that you've done those things and given it a try. It's the same thing. When people are in social stories and they're like, it's not working for me. I know. I'll go back. I can actually see what they've done. I know because I'm there live. If they've shown up, I can see if they're actually done the curriculum. I know. And when I reach, and when they're like, I'm struggling, it's never that they're saying that the things that we teach aren't working. They'll be honest about it. They're like, yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not showing up. I'm not doing any of those things. But I'll tell you what, when they do those things, it makes a difference. The hard part is when you've started and then you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can get uncomfortable, right? It's going to feel clunky, especially when it's going to feel clunky. That's okay. You just need to remember that everyone's feeling clunky too. You're not the only one feeling uncomfortable. You're not the only one feeling like everybody else is ahead of you, even though you and I know that's not a thing. You aren't the only one. So we must get over ourselves and we must show up. We must give more than we get. Be part of the conversation. Gosh, that's where the good stuff happens. And then we must get uncomfortable. When you do that, you will be successful in social stories. You're going to be successful in Social Templates Club. You're going to be successful at your network marketing club. You're going to be successful in life because again, we learn and we grow in that way. Now, again, I'm going to disclaim, it may be that company you're with is not the one for you. I'm not saying that this is foolproof, but don't you want to know that you did these things before you said it's not going to work? Wouldn't you want to make sure your child did these things before they said, I can't do this, mom? So why don't we do it as well too? All right, we're going to be back with behind the scenes. So as we're recording this podcast, it happens to be the 19th, which means something major to me because 19th is the last day for the founding membership of Social Templates Club. I'd put a goal of 50 members to be in the founding membership of Social Templates Club and said, okay, the cutoff is the 19th. It's 50 members or the 19th, whichever comes first. Well, a little something happened on the way to the forum. Funny thing happened on the way to the forum. We hit 50 today, but today is not over. So what to do, pity the ways I'm waiting. The Gentleman Too, sorry, song from my musical days. So I have decided that I'm going to just, since they both same day, leave it open. It's 4:16 p.m. Pacific time. I'm gonna leave it open until midnight. And if that means that more than 50 people join, then more than 50 people get to be in the founding membership. I think that's only fair. I'm so excited and like humbled and just like, wow, at the amount of network marketers who said, oh my goodness, this is what I need. I'm so excited about this. And so now it is my duty and my honor to help you or those who've joined the founding members really utilize these templates and help incorporate them into their network marketing. Network marketing, but into their social media. The interesting thing is this. Someone asked me, what's the difference between that and social stories? I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a good question. And so much. Social stories membership, which is like my baby, my OG, teaches you exactly how to build it all out. How to build out your Facebook, your Instagram from ground zero all the way to they're off of my social media, they're on my list, and they're buying my product and joining my team. The thing is as you go along that process, you quickly realize that there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things, and it takes time. And I had so many social stories members who are like, I get it, who were becoming the CEOs of their business and understanding how to work all those things, have the struggle of, now I don't have time to do it all. Or gosh, can I hire someone to make some of these things? Because once you understand the strategy and you understand what you need to craft, right, to make it work, then it's like, how do I need someone managing that for me. It's just not realistic to do that. I mean, literally, if you want to hire a team, that's $2,000 a month. It doesn't make sense. I get it. And that's why Social Templates Club was created, giving network marketers 4 templates of each of the main things in Instagram that you can template: stories, reels, carousels, and also info images, so that they can take what they worked on in social stories and the branding and the understanding of all that and set themselves apart from everybody else in such a great way because they're able to customize these things. So rather than having to hire a social media team and a graphic designer and all the things, Social Templates Club gives you the starting point and you can rock it. And so we have people who have joined that are from social stories and some who have not. And so it's going to be interesting seeing that juxtaposition and just seeing how they grow. Um, and I will have to be doing a little bit of, hey, when you're using these templates, you've got to think about these things. And I guess if you don't have the concepts for those things, you may want to take a look at social stories to get those concepts because it will really help them. So they work in tandem with each other. Can they work separately? Absolutely, but they really do work in tandem with each other. So I'm really, really excited. And of course, the next couple months are going to be exciting to see both of those memberships just grow and cultivate. You know, I have goals. You know, I have goals. And you know, my main goal is to really give a life like boom, like a jolt to the network marketing industry and help us be better as an industry, help us to have more success, but also help us be respected more because of the strategies we're using are those that actually are life-giving and not life-sucking, are not spammy tammy, but more someone who's a business owner who understands how to use Instagram and Facebook without really bugging, harassing, annoying their target market, their family, their friends, and their future target market. That's what it's all about. And I know that these 2 memberships will help to do that. So if you are a member of either of them, thank you. And I'm so excited. And just know that the best is yet to come. It's going to be really, really exciting. Lots of great things on the horizon. It would be remiss of me not to mention that the Olympics are a few days away, which thank goodness, because my sons decided to lose the last 3 games of the playoffs or of the finals, not the playoffs. And that's very disappointing. We have 2 more games left, and I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm still rooting for you, sons, but come on, come on. But the Olympics are starting. We just heard that Coco Gauff has COVID, so she's not going to be competing, which makes me so sad. Like, I just think of it, first of all, so heartbreaking that the Olympics got even postponed last year. Think about people who, yes, some people it worked well for them, but there are people who lost their chance because the Olympics were canceled. It just breaks my heart. And I know it. Things like this happen in the Olympics for different reasons, political reasons, where you find out your country's not going to Olympics. We're boycotting. Things happen, but it always crushes my heart to hear that. And so that was sad alone. But now to see people like they're going, they've made it, yay, and then that test. It's just really heartbreaking as well, too. So there'll be a lot of stories. I've blocked out most of my time so I can be watching the Olympics live. Yes, I know I'm not in Tokyo, but I'm going to feel like I am because I'm watching it live. Scott's like, how are you doing this? I'm like, darling, I'm just going to be sleeping on the couch, like voluntarily, so I can have the big screen. I'll be watching it. I'm all in. So I'm very excited. I might be a little bit of a zombie, but it's worth it. The Olympics only come around every 4 or 5, wink, wink, years. Although they're coming up in a couple years, that is the one exciting part. Winter's coming soon. So anyway, if you need motivation, if you feel like you're stagnant, you're just like, I'm in the doldrums, I encourage you to take a little time and watch the Olympics. I'm not even kidding. I know I am biased. I am such an Olympic junkie. I ran the Olympic torch, true story, for the 1998 games, Atlanta games, or 96, excuse me, Atlanta games. I was a torch bearer through Phoenix, Arizona. True story. I still have the torch, and I'm sure I still have the little outfit they gave me. I was a senior in high school, and that was like the most, I was like, I get to do what? Anyhow, I love the Olympics. So I'm biased, but if you want some inspiration, if you want to remember why you got here in the first place and why you're doing what you're doing, go watch the Olympics. Go see people who have given their life's blood and have sacrificed in so many ways to represent their country in the Olympic Games. And some of them are going to triumph and it's going to be amazing. And some of them are going to miss out and it's going to suck. And I'll be crying along with them. But I'll tell you this, You will learn, you'll get that motivation, that mojo, and that spirit back by just watching the Olympic Games. All right, that's all I have for you this week. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Please, if you have not taken a moment to rate us or give us a review on Apple Podcasts, I would really appreciate if you do that. Link is below. If you're watching or if you're looking at the actual page, or you can just go to Apple Podcasts if you're watching there or listening there, and there'll be a little button to review. I'd really appreciate that. And if you want, and even if you're like, I don't feel like it, if you want a screenshot that you watch this and tag me at Roxtalks on Instagram, I would love to share you my story and celebrate you and thank you for listening to the podcast. It's not possible without you. True story. I can talk till I'm blue in the face, which is hard to do because I'm Black, but I could. It would not matter if you didn't take the time to listen to the podcast and to share it. So I appreciate you so much. Your time's valuable, and I appreciate you. You're not ahead. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. And I can't wait to see you next week for another episode of Roxtalks. Take care.